You know, one of the things that accompanies this film as it arrives at theaters is a very long history, longer than anticipated. Obviously, Warner Brothers made a decision last year, and I remember when I came to see you in London, you guys were just wrestling with that decision about delaying the release of this film from last year to this year. It left a lot of sour feelings for a while, and I'm wondering now, are you still feeling that from the fans, or do you feel like all's forgiven, or?
I hope it's forgiven. You know, I won't kid you. It was a bit of a, you know, when Alan Horn and Jeff Robinoff came to me and said we would like to postpone the release, there was part of me, part of my heart sank, because when you finished a film, you want to get it out there, and it's most certainly strange to have it hanging over your shoulder. I mean, we're 90, as I'm talking to you now, we're on day 91 of 250 of part 7, so we're well into it. And to have 6 hanging over is a strange thing, but they've been the best partners you could possibly have. I mean, they've given us such independence and such support, and it was something they wanted, and it felt like the right thing to do. I mean, there was always going to be a 2-year gap, either between 5 and 6, or between 6 and the first part of 7. So, as opposed to being between 6 and the first part of 7, it's between 5 and 6. So, yeah, no, I mean, I hope the fans are okay with it.
Is everybody okay with it? Okay. No. They don't look at, well, no, they do look a little angry, actually. Let's just move on. So, Deathly Hallows, of course, is going to be split into 2 films. I did a story on David Yates where he talked a little bit about where he might split it, and I asked you before we came up here to talk about that.
Yeah, he revealed too much. Sorry. You have this way. No, we made a decision where to split it. It's a bit of a cliffhanger, but more than that, I don't want to say it because I think it will spoil it. But I think you know, actually, that's where we've made the decision to break it right now. That's the decision. Sorry, that's the decision in the script. When it, you know, we're shooting the entire film before we're editing part 1. So as the process evolves, you know, that divide point may shift. But at the moment, we've got it in our mind.
Fair enough. And then, you know, David Yates is such a delightful man, and seems to carry himself so well through the world. He seems to wear it very well. What's he meant to you as a colleague and a compatriot on this journey?
You know, David has this veneer, this veneer of being the softest, sweetest, you know, bouncy guy, but actually he's made of steel. He's the greatest collaborator you could ever ask for. You know, he really does encourage discussion and debate about everything, and he is willing to listen to anybody, even me. But ultimately, he at the end of it, he has a pretty clear idea of what it is he wants to do, and when he makes a decision, he goes for it. And he's, you know, pretty much always right. He's an absolute joy to work with. I think he really has gotten the best out of the kids. I think you'll see in 6 that they've really taken a big leap forward as actors. I think they've done that each step of the way, but I think this one's, you know, even more marked. And you know, he's an absolute pleasure, and I'm really happy that he's seen it through.
Great. Now, for those of you that don't know, David, you were born in London. Is that correct?
I was.
And then you studied at Harvard?
I did.
In arts?
In history of art and having a good time.
Right, and you considered being an art dealer at one time? Or
I contemplated it, but I think I made the right decision.
Better at buying than selling?
No, there's a lot of selling involved, let me tell you. With being a producer,
that's true. That's very true. I meant with the art. You would like to hang it on the wall.
That's true.
And then, you know, there's many pursuits that you have beyond pottery. Let's touch on a couple of those really quick. You mentioned a few before we stepped
up.
I
mean, I'm working on a few other things. I've optioned the rights to a book called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which is a fantastic book by this man called Mark Haddon. And it's about an autistic boy, or a boy with Asperger's syndrome. And it's a fantastic, award-winning British novel that Steve Clovis, who's adapted the Potter books, is going to write and direct. He directed a film called The Fabulous Baker Boys, and I think it's fantastic, and I think it's going to be a great film. Also doing a wide range of things, but I'm developing Paddington Bear. I don't know if any of you know that. Oh, good. Will you let Warner Brothers know that you feel that way? And you know, a variety of projects from you know, mature dramas to family fare, and just trying to find things that I love, because ultimately that's the only way you can can take on. It's only you can work in this business because it's pretty brutal, unless you get lucky like me.
And then, I wanted to mention on Half-Blood Prince as well, Jim Broadbent. What a fantastic addition to the cast, and he's not technically what you could expect by reading the book. You could have gone in different directions.
No, Slughorn is meant to be a short, round character, and Jim is rather tall and thin. That we put on a bodysuit to make him a little rounder, but he's never going to be as round as the Slughorn character in the book. But I think he imbues the spirit of Jo's character, and she most certainly, I know, feels that way. He is absolutely brilliant, and he plays. What I love about him is I think he's very, very funny, but it's all, and this is, I think, a mark of David's direction. Sometimes it's quite heightened, but it's very truthful. So it never feels like you're playing for a gag. It feels like he's someone who is very funny, but also really sad. He's carrying the weight of something he did many, many years ago within him, and you feel that through the entire film. He's great.
Yeah, it's extremely well said. There's a lot of layers to the character, and he communicates a lot of it non-verbally.
Yeah, and he does this amazing thing with his eyes, because there's certain times where you can see the whites all the way around his eyes, and then there are times when they're quite beady. He's such a such a talented actor who can give you such a range of emotions and feelings, and he's brilliant.
That's great. Is there anybody with the audience that has a quick question? And I would ask that you don't make proposals, declarations, pitches, threats, or ask for money. Okay, and no scripts. Thank you. Okay.
A lot of hands went down.
Yeah, exactly. You just go, I'll repeat it.
Okay. Well, first I want to say thank you for your recent work. Love it.
Thank you.
Recent interview, John Williams said that he would love to come back and bring everything, the musical storytelling full circle.
Yeah.
And will you come back for Jumping Hallows?
The question is will John Williams come back? And I'm a huge fan of John Williams. He did 3 of the scores, and I think he's amazing. He came up with so many themes that have carried on. We have talked to John Williams, and a lot of it will depend on his schedule for 7 Part 2. If we can make it work, and that's a big if, for his schedule and ours, then yes, but I don't know yet.
Great question, thanks. Is there anybody else that has a question? The gentleman right there?
Yes, as I read Harry Potter, he is an ageless character, a character that doesn't grow up. Now with the cast growing up every few years, is that putting more pressure on you to speed up production, or are you going to adjust the script to account for the age difference?
The question was whether the fact that the kids are growing up so quickly is a problem. Being very reductive. Jo has been very good to us because each book in the series is about a different year in Harry's life. So in the first one he was 11, and in the 7th he's 17. So Dan Radcliffe is now 20, playing 17. And I think the audience is pretty forgiving of that, because I think one of the pleasures has been watching him and all our cast grow up. And if John Travolta can get away with playing a high school teenager in Greece, I think Dan Radcliffe can.
Well, there you go. I don't think he got away with it, actually, but that's just me.